It is Friday afternoon, a little bit after 1, a little bit later than yesterday when I came on board. Um, Finished my yoga for the day, morning, early morning, 4-ish, probably about 4:30. I guess I do my first um, session of yoga. Um, and my burpees. I finished my burpees. Um, Second round of yoga. And I'm going to talk to you guys for a bit and then do my last meditation for the day, probably. Sometimes I fit an extra one in um, if I feel it would be beneficial or I just want to. So the thing with meditation is I enjoy it. So when there's that debate between those in non-duality circles on whether or not uh, meditation is a cause or leads to awakening, it doesn't really matter to me. Um, if you enjoy meditating, if you find it helpful for other aspects of your life, by all means meditate. I enjoy it. I find it helpful. Um, did it lead to any sense of awakening for me? I don't know. I don't know if I would have had um, any sort of awakening had it not been the time I spent meditating. And of course, I don't know if it would not have. So it doesn't matter in the least. So it's sort of a unnecessary debate to have. All of it is. Every debate in non-duality circles seems to me to be non-essential, not serving any great purpose whatsoever. And yet the debate rages on. Post something on Facebook or any social media on any type of awakening that you've had, any insight, any non-duality um, thoughts that you put out there, and it'll immediately be rebuked by someone who's had um, a deeper, more meaningful, more insightful experience and knows the truth and is more than willing to share it with you at the expense of your own insight. So it often seems the Zen battle, as it were. My Zen is stronger than your Zen. My Kung Fu is greater than your Kung Fu. Um, does seem ridiculous because who knows? You know, how do you compare an insight? How do you compare an awakening? How do you compare anything? We could call it, you know, enlightenment. We could call it anything. What's deep and true for you? Here's the thing. I dislike using terms deep and true because what we find is it just keeps deepening and deepening and deepening. What is deep and true now no longer seems as deep and true. Um, or it just those words lose their meaning. It just becomes experience after experience after experience. That's why I prefer Douglas Harding's The Headless Experiments, because no one else can see what you're seeing. No one else can refute what is. We all see. So leave it at that. Now, of course, the words that we offer up, the descriptions that we give, they might be different. And the more words that we offer, the more of a layer that we present between the actuality and the description. So maybe there's room to nitpick there. Just doesn't seem worth it because I think in the reality of seeing, it's all the same. Let people get there when they get there. Your rush isn't going to make it any difference for them. You know, you coming on Facebook and telling me something that I've written is not going to make it less so for me. Doubtful. But that's just the way it works. Again, so it seems. It sort of fits in with a lot of things that I've been considering lately. The a lot of yogic, even Buddhist philosophy, more psychology, actually. Um, the kleshas, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And those are the so-called barriers that prevent our true understanding of reality as much as we can. I don't know that we can understand reality. We just are it. Um, but again, maybe I'm mistaken. You know, maybe the Buddha had a great understanding of reality. Maybe, you know, maybe my next door neighbor does. I don't know. But all I do know is that we are living it, we're expressing it. That's what matters. Um, the kleshas are, again, the barriers, and it's all presented by the mind. That we have ignorance, not knowing who we truly are. And again, this is based on Buddhist and yogic philosophy. So you might have a non-traditionalist, non-duality person come along and say, well, you know, these are meaningless. And maybe they are for that person, but for me, they've been quite helpful, especially even more recently. Just, it's different than the insights you sort of get in awakening. It's a more helpful way of navigating through life. And what I find is that any sort of non-dual awakening doesn't always help you navigate through life. Doesn't always help with your interpersonal relationships. Doesn't help me get along better with my next door neighbor. At least not immediately so. I don't know. That's a word, that's a phrase you'll be hearing quite a bit in every one of my talk. I don't know. Because it's the truth. So even when I might offer any type of insight from my own personal experience, it still comes down to I don't know. So again, the first is we have ignorance, not knowing our true self. Then we have the egoism, the I amness. Not the I amness in the sense of Nisargadatta Maharishi, the great I am, but more of the little I, the self, the ego, I, me, mine, as George Harrison would say. Always grabbing, always attaching, using possessions, using thoughts, using opinions, using beliefs to solidify our place within the world. This is who I am. This. I am a writer. I am a lawyer. I am a insurance salesman. This is my car. Whatever it is, whatever we grasp, whatever we hold on to, especially with that self-assurance of this is who I am. That we could ever have, that I ever had that great self-assurance. This is who I am. I believe this. I am a liberal. I am a Republican. I am this. I am this. I am this. And saying it with such assurance, as if it was actually true, and not just based on a thought, not just based on my own opinion, self-esteem. And then the third layer is that we have attachments. And again, that goes with our possessions, but more so, we view our body as a possession, attached to that self-image of a body. That I have to have the long blonde hair that I had when I was 20 years old. That I have to get 235 6-count burpees every 6-count session, 100 plus Navy SEALs every Navy SEAL session. That I am attached to those outcomes, and I am attached to the numbers. And I am attached to my car. I'm attached to the vehicle of my body. I'm attached to my youth. A funny thing to say, being 58, but I am younger now than I'm going to be tomorrow. So that's easy to get lost. I can do things now that I might not be able to do a decade from now. So that's a strange thing to face, because I'm not so sure there's a whole lot of things at 58 that I can't do at 48 and going all down the line. I didn't run my first 100-mile race until I was 50, my second at age 51. My last race, I was 55, and I only stopped because of my father's illness and COVID. Although it seemed to be the enjoyment of actually racing was on the decline anyway. Just being drawn in a different direction, as it is with all kinds of stuff. You know, I put kettlebells aside to be doing body weight burpee stuff. Again, I put competitive kettlebells aside to do ultra running. Before that, I put my Olympic weightlifting, non-competitive, but it was fun, aside for kettlebells. So that's the process of life. Things just shifting, letting go, shifting again. If all we had was those, it's like we're trading attachments. If we just hold on to those particular attachments, we would never shift into anything. But then we grow just as attached to those things as what we previously had before. And then, of course, we have, this would be number 4, repulsion or aversions. I don't like these people. I don't like this particular neighborhood. I don't like that country. I don't like this political party. I don't like this food. I don't like whatever. Those are all stages and states of identification, because you can see how all of this leads together. I am attached to my opinion, therefore I am averse to this person's opinion because it opposes mine, or it challenges mine. It challenges mine in a very subtle fashion. I don't even realize it, so I get defensive. If you think people who are homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic, why? Why this aversion? The sad thing is, it will never be examined in that person. Probably not. But it's there, it's present. And it's one of the great hindrances to keep us from waking up. It's one of the great Buddhist and yogic hindrances to keep us from realizing a true identity. And it's just a thought. An aversion is just a thought. We can let it go without truly letting go of the aversion either. Meaning we don't have to like someone, but if we see that it's based on a thought, we've already hit that initial stage of awakening. And then the very last one would be fear of death, which does drive everything. Fear of death is equal to the will to live. The fear of death is because we don't realize, again, our true nature and who we are. We believe holding all these things, holding the aversions, holding the attachments, holding on to our ignorance, holding on to our I amness, the egoism, we believe all of those will solidify us, a fortress to protect us against that death, that something will live on. This testament, my law firm, my business, my building, my identity, whatever, will live on way past me. If not forever, then for a very long time. And of course it doesn't. Nothing does. Not even that I amness. Not even the I amness presented by Nisargadatta Maharishi, who apparently, towards the end of his life, sort of had a deeper realization himself that the I amness is just as much of a figment as anything else, illusory, and that it's all the absolute. The absolute would be another way of saying nothingness, energy, infinite energy. So if we know that we're infinite energy, we could lose that fear of death. But who knows when it comes? I believe that meditation would be the path to guide yourself through this process. Others believe that you have that non-dual awakening and you're there. But as people discovered in the last decade, that non-dual awakening isn't the end. You need to go back to embodiment. You need to find yourself at home again within the everydayness. And yet, finding yourself at home within the everydayness, you need to re-embrace the mystical again. You need to become re-enchanted, as Thomas More might say, re-enchanted with the world. Lots of people lose that sense of magic. Lots of people who have this great awakening and this great understanding and these wonderful insights, and then they lose that sense of magic, only to come back to it later, so it seems. So those are the 5 blocks, the 5 barriers presented in yogic wisdom, yogic philosophy, yogic psychology, I think is the best way of saying it. It's interesting now, the blend of Buddhist and yogic psychology and Western psychology and where they're coming. The erasal of the ego in a sense, or the diminishing of the ego, and then a rebuilding it, but with a healthy sense of non-attachment to it. Sort of a Bhagavad Gita karmic yoga approach. I have a certain affinity for karmic yoga, it seems. And I think about that when I do my burpees. Karma itself meaning motion. Again, not punishment, not revenge, not retribution. Just motion. Infinite motion. Not a causal, not one thing causing another, but everything causing something, causing something, causing something. Infinite. Turtles all the way down. So, karma yoga just seems to, definitely has an appeal to me. Motion. I guess through my running, through my years of weightlifting, through the last 2 years now of burpees, almost 2 years, I guess, and letting go at the same time. Letting go of numbers, letting go of chasing, letting go of the results. You can let go of results and receive 100% of the benefits. Meaning, today I got 105 Navy SEALs. My all-time best is 115. Am I in worse shape now doing 105 than I was when I was doing 115? I'm actually in better shape because I do more overall for a longer period of time than just hitting that number. If anything, at least I'm in not worse shape than what I was. But slowly, I'm just letting go of that pursuit of all-out numbers for the sake of what each session holds for itself, in and of itself. It's a kinder approach because you can still push hard. You can still give it everything you have. Or you can listen to your body. This is what my body's told me to do today. I did my best to do that in today's session. Just not even listening exclusively to the body, listening to this session, listening to each rep. This is what it wants. This is how it wants to be expressed. This is how my breath wants to be expressed, how my heartbeat wants to be expressed, how my legs want to express themselves. So you do it. You listen. It's a very subtle, a very intuitive sense of listening. Again, it's embodiment because I'm listening to everything. And I'm finding my true body, those layers that we've talked about before. The layers of breath, prana, pranayama, subtle energy, then the body, and then the layer that goes past the body and past that body and then past and past and past until you're listening to the entire universe. And it still comes down to that one rep of burpees. That's the whole magical thing of weird that we've talked about before. That web, the web of the infinite Indra's web, everything connected. One burpee vibrates the entire universe. One strand of the web, light years away, vibrating right here in the middle of our session. It's all connected. It sounds almost trite, almost a cliche to say these days, but eventually you just feel it so deeply. You just can't help but express it. You just can't help but know that you are the expression of it. So these are the things that have been on my mind. Fun to talk about, fun to put out there. Not discussing anything as if I have this great secret to share. Any truths that belong to me. I'm not saying anything that a history of yoga practitioners hasn't had to say. Nothing I've ever said has been original, although unique to me. Unique in how I say it, unique in my expression, and brand new to me when you experience these things firsthand, whenever you do, even if you have before, as it happens again and again and again, where you just fall into that revelation over and over again. It's always a brand new experience because, as Robert Saltzman says, it's all a once upon once a time. This moment will never happen again. Not like this, not in these particulars. Nothing you say, nothing you do, nothing you see, nothing you taste, nothing you feel will ever be this again. And if that doesn't fill you with a sense of bewilderment, or as my friend James Plath might say, it doesn't fill you with astonishment, nothing ever will. Maybe nothing will. Maybe tasting the absolute. I can't see how it wouldn't. All right, guys. I think this is going to be an early day. No burpee friends popping in to say hi. So the discussion doesn't carry over into all kinds of other fun stuff. So let's call it a day. Unless somebody does pop in and they want to talk about something. But, hey, we've talked about ignorance. We talked about egoism. We talked about attachment. We talked about aversion and repulsion. We talked about fear of death. We've talked about Indra's web and the weird. And, hey, Burpee Yoga Uncle, how are you? Aloha, my friend. I was talking about the kleshas of yoga, the hindrances of understanding, and sort of tying it in with every day is a blessing, my friend. I agree. Tying it all into burpees in a burpee session, which I might add, while I have you here, you fill your sessions with a great, great sense of joy. It is always a pleasure when I find a recent posting of yours. Always insightful. And again, always that great sense of joy. And if you're not finding joy in the suffering of burpees, you're not going to find joy anywhere. That's the truly great thing of the style of working out, of those repetition, is through that sense of suffering, there is a great sense of joy as well. Different experience than, let's say, my early morning yoga session. They complement each other so very well. Keeps drawing me back. So I was just about to shut things down for the day. I appreciate you stopping by, Unc. And I'm going to end it. I think I'm talked out. Quite a bit covered it. 25 minutes. You have a great weekend too, my friend. Looking forward to seeing what you post for the weekend. Take care.